So this session is all about functional rehab progressions. All right? So we want to make sure that this session is everything that you want. So anybody have questions, bring them up now. Speak now or forever hold your peace. So what questions about rehab do you have? We want to make sure we cover them in this session. Anyone? Anyone? Say that again.
Shoulder rehab.
Shoulder rehab.
Impingement or like stress injury or it's not activated properly.
Okay. So shoulder rehab specifically to, you said impingement. General shoulder rehab. Cool. Perfect. I think we're going to cover that. What else? Yes.
Progression of forces.
Progression of forces.
Like scaling down.
Have you been exposed or not exposed?
Somewhat.
Okay, so we'll talk about
People have that warm
progression.
fuzzy feeling of that question?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good. All right. What's
Way
next?
to go like target specific muscles versus doing like broad functional pattern movements, like when the crossover is, whether it's just ignoring one versus the other.
Okay. So progressing them.
Yeah, or like when one's more optimal than the other one.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. However you want to write that question.
Yeah, so
make
just
sure we
direct
cover it.
muscle versus pattern.
Awesome. What else? Don't break the plane. All right.
This guy.
Yes.
Where you start, like when someone's in so much pain that they can't even do.
Where you start when somebody's dying in pain. That's great because that's going to happen all the time in clinic. That's what makes you famous. Perfect. What else? Anything else?
Criteria for release from care.
Ooh. So the other end of that spectrum, huh? Criteria for release from care.
Yes,
Not they're
sir.
starting out in pain. They're probably out of pain. And where do we go from there? Great question. All right. Any others that are burning holes in your minds? All right. Just so we can kind of place the room. If you are a student, please, or graduated within the last 3 months, 6 months, stand up. Okay. Perfect. All right. Awesome. And now sit down. If you've been in practice 0 to 5 years, stand up. Okay. Grab a seat. If you've been in practice more than 5 years, stand up. Awesome. So we got a really diverse group.
Yep.
That's awesome. Okay. Just by show of hands, how many of you feel like you have a decent rehab system? We've been doing this a while. I still feel like I got tons to learn, but I think I got a decent system that I can rehab. Just put those hands up. Okay. How many of you are like, I've never rehabbed anybody in my life. I'm scared crapless, and I don't know where to go, what to do, and I just need some structure to my life. All right, so that middle group means you've had some exposure, you just don't know yet what to do. Is that right? Awesome. I think we're going to cover that. We get going?
We'll get it going.
All right, so to introduce myself, I'm Dr. Josh Satterlee. Some of you saw me Friday night. I'm a chiropractor based in Las Vegas, Nevada. Real quick, why rehab means so much to me. When I first moved to Las Vegas, I had a friend, she calls me November 1st. What's the night before November 1st? Halloween. Said, hey, last night I went out, I dressed up as a showgirl, I had one of those big feather things on my head all night. We were, having fun. Woke up this morning, 10 out of 10 pain in my neck. I can't move it. I can't back my car out the driveway. I can't do anything. It hurts. I said, hey, no problem. I'm in Vegas. You were a showgirl. I'm a chiropractor. You got neck pain. This is like a match made in heaven, right? So she came in and I did all the soft tissue work I could. I adjusted her 9 ways from Sunday. And guess what? 10 out of 10 pain. Couldn't move in any direction. So what did I do? I adjusted the other structures that I obviously missed, right? And I said, well, obviously I did the superficial structures, but I know because I'm a soft tissue expert, you got to do deep structures. The ones with names that nobody even covered in school, right? The longest coli, like the superior lateral fibers longest coli, those are the ones that are causing your neck pain, right? So I dug my finger into her neck. Guess what happened? If there was a level above 10 out of 10, I took her there. If there was a reduction in range of motion, I caused that. None of what I was throwing at this problem was solving it until I learned how to rehab. So for a year, I saw her socially, would see her at events. We were connected in business, and I was embarrassed every time I saw her because I knew I never got her better. And at some point, I was scared to even approach her and ask her about that neck pain that she had because I hadn't served you. Anybody ever feel like they failed with a case? Okay, good. Use that emotion to drive you into your learning situation today because that's what it's all about. We're going to help you save those people. All right, and it gets real exciting when you can do that. How about you?
I'm Dr. Jason Hulme, Hendersonville, Tennessee, so it's 15 minutes north of Nashville. I graduated from Logan in 2009. The interesting thing about that is I would consider that, like many others, the rehab renaissance. It was really when we had a lot of information from the rehab world. So my come up was a little bit different than Josh's. I had a ton of exposure to rehab. I had over 40 courses in postgraduate continuing education on rehab because I loved it. But what got me into the profession was an injury that got treated traditionally, and I thought that's what got me into this, and I was very excited. But really what it was that emotion that when I got better, that feeling is what I wanted to give to other people. So when I got into school and found out about rehab, the evidence, and just these other ways and angles to handle things, I was incredibly excited. So I just kept pursuing that. And then, if you were here on Friday, I gave you a longer version of my intro, but that is a very true story about the case with Bill, where when I adjusted him, he got back up, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then just that emotional crushing that happens afterwards when you find out, damn it, they are not better. Like that, I messed that up completely. So that instantly, the piece I didn't tell is that I signed up for the SFMA right after that because I felt like I had all these tools. I had so many different exercises. For example, the two biggest influences on me rehab-wise was DNS at the time and then Gary Gray. So I don't know if Gary Gray is huge as he was back in the day, but it's all about triplanar loading and all these other harder exercises. But for example, a great Gary Gray drill in the right time is like a single-legged eccentric core loading with rotation. So I would go from on the ground in these developmental positions, long-held isometrics, to, all right, Miss Jones, well, next exercise, you're going to be here and rotate. And she's like, there's no way in hell. And I just knew there had to be some way to bridge that. So that's when I became my passion to how do we fill in this system and then be able to teach everyone in a short amount of time where do things fit. And so that's what gets me excited. I'm also one of the few individuals in the world apparently that are affected by the allergens in Kansas City. Like I'm the only one dying here of dry throat and coughing and hacking, so I apologize in advance for that
Friend right here.
and the meds, but my goodness, it's killing me. So we covered a little bit about who's in the room. So we've got a great diverse group of students, of docs. I love all the questions that y'all talked about where we want to go with things from here. I just want to lay a little bit of structure down first, and then we're going to get right into it. We're going to do several big group exercises that I think will be very insightful to learn what your colleagues think and how we put all these pieces together. But there's 4 principles that I'm pretty passionate about. When I go around and look at the best rehab providers in the world in all the courses, there's 4 major things I see that happen in a pain case. So a patient comes in, there's 4 major avenues that we tackle at some facet, but what's really hard for people to do is pick when to do and what. So the big things, I call these the ARG principles, mainly because it just sounds fun, but the big thing is, number 1, is awareness. In some way, no matter whose course you take, you'll notice certain elements, like if they do taping, one of the best things about it is how aware you are of that area now. Also, your pain triggers. You have to have an education component to let them know that, like, Miss Jones, when you bend and rotate, that's what's hurting. So let's do it like that. Like, oh, that feels awesome. Oh, this feels like hell. This feels like awesome. Okay, great. So you'll just modify, or just awareness to their pain triggers. Sometimes people have had pain for so long, and it's so persistent that they don't know any different. So they'll think, oh, I'm pain-free right now. This is perfect. But actually, they're used to feeling a low level 2 of discomfort, and then now later in rehab, all of a sudden that'll be painful. So awareness and mindfulness with your patients is crucial, but that's a big element that we see. The next thing that as chiros we're really good at is reducing sensitization or helping them in the pain scenario. So there's a lot of ways to do that. If we went around the room and just asked if someone's in pain in anterior shoulder, what's one thing that you've heard in the last 10 years that may be helpful? I think we'd run through a whole long list. Ice, laser. You could go through all these things, but in some way, we're doing something to decrease the discomfort in a local way. And I'm not saying that we just focus there, but that's a thing. Like if somebody hurts there, it's okay to say like, okay, well, let's do something that helps calm that down. But then where we get really passionate is in these 2 pieces. Next is that regaining control or increased coordination, or moving to directions that they haven't done before, or what some courses call motor control. So it's this idea that we're going to have them move different ways and incrementally increase to open up more movement options for them. So that individual we talked about, Miss Jones, if she's down here bending and rotating, that's what sensitizes her. One of the most valuable things we can do is unlock more of her assets to groove new movement habits. That's crucial. If she only knows one way to do this because of a hip restriction, well, if we open that up, that's fantastic. We can do the best soft tissue, the best manipulation, mobilization, adjustment, any of that stuff. But if we don't teach her then how to integrate that, it's not going to be a new habit. It's not going to desensitize structures around it or make her better. The next piece, I didn't get to hear Todd's presentation, but he talks about tendinopathy. One of the things we know a lot is that graded exposure, graded exercise to tolerance is something that can be very helpful in those chronic tissue change categories. But also just graded exercise. If I want to have big biceps, and I know that for me that outcome is going to be like curling 45 pounds, you don't start with 2 pounds and then go to 45 the next week. Like, that doesn't work. You slowly build that up. So that piece is really important. To wrap this up in the next few minutes before we get started, let's talk about that graded exercise a little bit more.
Yeah. All right, so we want this to be participatory class.
Yep.
We want it to be exciting. We want you guys, we made the emotional connection with the people that you might have failed with. We want you to make the physical connection with actually doing. Because if we tell you it, it's like me telling you, have you ever swam? All right, let's pretend you haven't. I'm going to say we're standing on the deck. All right, now you're going to jump in that pool. Oh, by the way, it's going to be really hard to breathe, but listen. You start moving your arms like this, okay? I know at first it won't make any sense, but then you're going to keep going. And remember, pop up every once in a while, breathe. And then you're going to do this. Like, there's no way to teach swimming if I'm dry, right? There's no way to teach rehab if you're sitting, right? Unless maybe we do some eye motions or something like that. But right now we're going to do something else. So we're going to set this room up first to do participatory learning, okay? So here's what we need to do. We're in the student clinic. On Monday, this will be the student clinic again. It needs to look like the student clinic, be set up like the student clinic, and operate like the student clinic. So these tables correlate with those computers. So we're going to move these tables against the wall with their appropriate computer. If we can take these tables in the middle and just push them back in the hallway, stack them up, whatever you need to do, we're going to take 2 minutes to do that right now. If you have a coffee or something without a lid on the ground, please pick it up. This is the student clinic. Let's respect that. Clean up the space. Let's make it operational for, at least preserve it so it can be operated Monday. A little bit of structure here. A little bit of structure. And this is going to be, we're going to do it right here. So those of you in the back, get away from the columns, come surround us. You guys in the front can move this way. You get a little of the screen right now. I need somebody, is there anybody in here who has kids? Raise your hand if you have kids. All right. Brandon, can I borrow you? All right. Brandon is our kid. Okay. Let's put some structure on this. And we're not going to use, we're going to use undefeated rehab specialists who took people from one-celled amoebas to a living human being. Mother Nature is undefeated, right? We're going to follow her advice. Imitate a 3-day-old kid. Your baby when he was 3 days old. Okay. 3 days old. Yes. We're going to do the silent version, by the way. Now, what's the other position this kid is in? Okay. Oh, not by yourself, though, right? Moved his head a little. I come, I lift him up, roll him over, go on your stomach. All right, so there's structure there. What would you guys call this? We call it baby position 1 or lying down, right? Did we all learn how to move here? Okay, cool. Now, 6 to 8 months in, he goes, hey, man, mom's over there, toys are over there, I want something over there. What's he going to learn how to do? Crawl. And you can pop up on all fours. There's a lot of transitional positions, but he gets on all fours. Why does he do that? He wants to become movable, right? Like he wants to locomote, so move forward. All right, so we have 4 points of support, right? 2 hands, two legs. All right, cool. Weight bearing, spine is still non-weight bearing. All right, he comes over to the cabinets, which are, let's say, let's come over here, maybe. And there's really expensive stuff here, so what will he do? He will mess with it, right? He wants to pour peanut butter into computers. That's what happens. So he starts exploring. All right, this is like an exploration phase. Okay, notice now that he went weight bearing, and now his spine is weight bearing. So we just call this kneeling. He can do that kneeling, but what happens when he tries to let go of the object? Usually falls over, okay? So he gets really good at holding himself up and messing with the computer, but there's more expensive stuff higher. So what does he learn how to do? He stands up, yeah. Supported at first, and he falls, and then he becomes unsupported standing, right? And then what does he move into? Walking, right? Takes 3 steps, eats it. Takes 3 more steps, eats it. Takes 3 more steps, eats it, and at some point, he can move around. And then he enters chiropractic college, he graduates, and he assumes student loans. That's pretty much the organization. All right, thank you very much, baby. Brandon?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so we talked about a couple things, and I want everyone to understand why we just talked about that. So one of the questions that we had at the very beginning was, I want to know a system how to be able to organize all of this. There's so many different exercises, but how do they work together? How do we pick an exercise for the patient to end with? How do we pick where do they start? And then how do we fill in through the middle, right? So one way to do that is what I talked about at the very beginning. Literally as simple as I'm going to gradedly load them up. 2 pounds, 4 pounds, 6 pounds. Now you adapt over time, gets heavier and heavier. Number 2 that we need to have in mind is developmental progression, right? And most of you have probably had exposure to that, but that's another way. But now if we're talking about bone stress injuries, runners, and lower extremity tendinopathy, what's another way? So what I want you to think about, I don't know how many super nerds there are in here, but if you like going through the studies on that, on ground reactive forces and force plates, this is another third way to start thinking about things. So for the same ideas though, where do you start, where do you finish? So we think about this, let's think about how they do some of those studies. So some of them are done like this. They'll stand you on a force plate, and this is now 1 time your body weight, right? It's all your weight through the force plate. Now they'll take you single limb, and they'll say this is 2 times your body weight, because it's all of your weight through that one structure, right? Then they'll walk you. And they'll say, okay, well, this is roughly, depending on the study, 2.5 times your body weight, because now there's a little bit of movement with it, so those impact forces are like 2.5 times, right? We'll take you skipping. Now we're like 3.5 times. We'll start to jog you like 4 times. We start to sprint, maybe up to 8 times, right? We start to jump. Now we're at 10, 12 times. High-level gymnastic techniques, maybe up to 20 times depending. So we think in those terms, does that make sense how you could start to build a plan? So if I hurt when I run, but I'm okay at skipping, from a stress perspective, maybe I need to find something in the middle. Does that make sense? So when you're building a plan based on a case, there's 3 great ways to think through this. Okay? And we're always juggling which one's the most valuable for the patient at the right time based on the outcome, start at the end. So we're going to do that as a group. Okay? You want to take the lead on this one or go? You ready?
I'm ready. Set it up.
Okay,
We gotta
so
organize them into groups first.
so first I want to set the mood with our tone of what we're going to be talking about.
Set the mood.
So how many packs with? Do we guess we have about 50 people in here? So let's start with groups of roughly 5. And I don't want you to necessarily know the people that you're with
Let's do this.
or your backgrounds.
Doc's 5 years plus in the industry. 5 years plus. Okay.
Spread out.
You guys, spread out. You guys are going to be our group leaders. You basically need to hire 4 employees right now. All right?
Yep. And hopefully don't know them.
Yep.
And everybody pick a different corner.
All right, we
got
want
30
groups of
seconds.
5.
30 seconds. Grab 4.
Hey, students, go get hired. Don't stay up here. Go
Yeah.
get hired.
That's quick.
Do yourself a favor. Go get hired.
I've got one guy and I'm a.
Here. We need.
No, it's okay. Whatever.
You guys students?
No, I'm actually a doc 5 plus. Are you guys students?
I'm not.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, you guys let's work together.
Yeah, sounds
Do
good.
you guys want to? What was your name?
Kelly.
Kelly?
Yep.
Jeff?
Ryan.
What was that? Nate. Nice to meet you. What was your name? Kylie. How that was.
Kelly. Nice to meet you. Ryan. Kelly.
I'll never
Yep.
remember.
Ryan.
At least I know one.
Yeah. Just jump in any group.
All right, docs. Employers, delegate someone to be. Let's see. We need. Each group will have.
Do you make sure they all have banners?
Who else? My.
Okay, so while Josh finishes passing that out, here is our case. So we're going to start with exactly what the young lady asked earlier. Our goal is going to be, we're going to start at the end. So we're going to have an outcome. And in this case, we got the case up here. Here's the presentation on the left versus the right. Patient came in. This is the construct we want you to follow is that you're already the best in the country at whatever soft tissue or treatment that you're going to do, whether that's manual, manipulation, and you applied the exact right treatment. Does that make sense? The passive care is already done for this exercise. We've already done it. You've already crushed that. You're the best. That's why they're there. So, this case, he wants to deadlift. And when he came in, where we have to get him is to a clean toe touch and pulling heavy weight off the floor. Does that make sense? That's where we're going. We're as one big team about to do this, but in your small groups, here is your objective. Each group has to pick 3 exercises somewhere along the neurodevelopmental progression from on the ground to picking up the bar on the ground. You have to pick 3 exercises as a group, one that feels easy, that would help you get him from where he's at here to a clear toe touch, pulling heavy weight off the floor. Make sense? We want you to pick an easy exercise, one that you feel that's moderately hard, and then one that's difficult. Okay? So over the next 5 or so minutes, that's your task. We're going to be walking around, helping, trying to mess you up, all the fun stuff.
Do not be embarrassed in this. The best exercise we've ever learned have come by, remember who was there for Greg Rose's thing? Just reach. Just try for it. You will not be embarrassed here. We want to see you get creative here. All right?
Yep.
But whatever works. You need 3 exercises.
3. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Just know that you already did your manual work. So rolling on a ball, rolling on a foam roller, nope, you already did that.
They've been adjusted.
They're
They've been
amazing.
healed, everything's done.
All the soft tissue, unreal. You already did it. Next.
So range of motion's there.
Right, so we're just going in. So deadlift, you want to go to toe touch to. So definitely something loose.
Yeah.
Pushing on the same. So that.
The dude on the left,
You need to have a simple on their back.
Right. To me, you're going to work, and then just getting into that position, expanding, and with it. But I would think that would be the last progression.
There's lots of different
Back forward. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking.
Trying to get them in that motion so they're getting that.
That
We
was
can progress that, right? So if you want to
But then it's progressing them up and loaded on the back.
We're going to do more of
middle ground where you kind of back and forth, really like
Squat into before you have to bear.
I feel like you could then use like kind of get the
so from a motor
Get your attention real quick. We just want to clear a couple things up. Guys in the back, listen up real quick. We're seeing some great interaction. This is what we want, this creativity, this getting together. A couple things have come up. Number 1, you're welcome to use the CLX that's yours. So if I handed you one, it's yours to keep. Use it if you want. If you want to tell us, I would, make it look like a bar or a stick or whatever you want to turn it into, one of those cool balloon animals. Good. All right. Second thing, at the end of this, in about 5 minutes, you're going to have 3 of your people from your group come up and demo the exercise you're talking about. So we're not just going to say, I'm going to do bird dogs with resistance. No, you're going to show us, what do you mean by that? All right? Because sometimes in the world of rehab, there are 2 exercises. There's 2 different names for exactly the same exercise, right? But we want to see it right here. And you got about, what do you think, 5 minutes?
Yeah, 6 minutes.
All right.
And you just start dropping.
I think it makes sense.
I think we just use everything.
Let me do that. So you're going to be on the first one?
Everybody feeling comfortable? Everybody ready to participate in the learning process right now? Fantastic. All right. So guys, in the back. Everybody in the back, put your hands up. On the left, put your hands up. All right. This is going to be our, whatever we say, assessment performance place. Yep. We're going to have you come up. You're going to do it. We're going to decide where it's going to go. This is our midpoint. Deadlift is over there. The guy wants to deadlift. That's over there. Baby crawling is down that hall. We're not going to go any further than, Justin, can you back up about 5 steps? Justin is our bookend. It cannot go past him. All right, raise your hand. Wave your hand. Right there. All right? Everybody understand that? Perfect. All right, so move to the sides. Let's see. We didn't number you guys, huh? Yeah. All right. Let's do it. You guys are group 1. Group 1. Group 2s. Group 3s. You 4. Group 3. Group. So you were 3. 4. 5. 5 includes you, right? You guys are 6. Where's group 7? Yeah, it's safe. Safer. Okay, so we got 13 times 3, so we got 39 possible exercises here, right?
Yep. And here's how it's going to work. When we start with group 1, they're going to demo. Obviously, they have the most clean canvas. So they're going to pick, and we're going to know where they're at. If your group, 1 of your 3, has already been picked, we're going to ask and clarify, is it exactly the same, or are there other tweaks of it? Because then that lets us know, do we put you before, do we put you after, okay? So that's going to be a really important distinction.
And please don't change your answers. Please, show us what you got. Yep. Because that's how we all learn. There's so many modifications of stuff I've seen. I'm going, oh, man, I never thought to do with those clients.
Yep. So here we go. Group 1, first person. This is the stage, right in between these 2 beautiful laptops.
Where these 2 cameras cross is what we're aiming for.
It's all you, girl.
Okay.
What do we got? Easiest. Yep.
Just basic hip hinge.
Perfect.
Yep. Tall kneeling hip hinge.
All right, great. So stay right there and just move just a few steps that way because you're basically in the middle. You'll figure out. All right, who's next? Third person, just get ready. Right down. All right. Group 2, you're on deck. Okay? Cool?
Yep.
Will that be more that way or more that way of her?
More that way.
Remind us where we started. Which way's baby? Baby here?
Baby's down the hall.
Baby's over
Oh,
here.
baby's down the hall.
Yeah.
Okay. Standing's here.
Standing's over here.
He's
Deadlifting's over here.
Right next to him.
So we switch. We're switched.
Okay.
So that's
All right.
So this is deadlift?
This is deadlift.
Yeah.
Who's wait,
Tall kneeling.
I know. Just to be clear, there's already confusion. We have 2 exercises. So it'd be great if we had a class. It was all about progressing this, right? Deadlift, just 1 point I could clarify, is deadlift weight bearing through the spine? Yes. Was she weight bearing through the spine?
Yes.
Was he weight bearing through the spine? Okay, so he's down towards baby, you're over here. So switch spots. See how easy this is? Why would this ever get confusing in clinic? This is so simple. Okay. All right, who's next? Let's see it. Get on the stage.
Over here. Over here.
Come on over here. You're in the center. All right.
I have no idea where I'm going.
I like this. I've never seen this equipment.
Yeah, taking it through the actual movement, so we would just progress them through, starting up higher, so as far as they can get with the hip hinge,
Okay.
engaging the legs, and
All
then
right.
just move down.
So would that be closer to baby? More that way. Okay, move that side of her. Skateboard's out of here, baby. Yeah. All right, group 2.
We stay here.
You're going to build a
Oh,
continuum.
oh.
Group 2. Let's see it.
Just pelvic tilts. He gave a good idea of putting like a blood pressure cuff and building it up and putting
Love
it
it. Yep.
right under the sacrum,
So little feedback.
and then just
Awesome. Where would that be? Remember, he was all 4s, but non-weight bearing? That looked like a baby on the ground, right? Go shake Justin's hand. All right, who's next? Group 2. We got to be ready. We got to go.
Oh wait, is it you?
Group 3, get ready. Whoever's up.
You gotta
Just
hold
a
this
little
in.
faster. Yep, go ahead. So we got CLX, cool.
Another hip hinge.
Another hip hinge.
Right here.
Is that harder or easier than the hip hinge that she demonstrated? Harder. So where should he be? All right, go get next to her. Make sure you're ordered.
And the other one
All right, cool.
just be kind of transitioning from that quadruped position. And kind of going that way.
Okay, so he was started quadruped, stayed quadruped, and you were quadruped to progress. So where should that be?
Yep.
Okay. Remember what she did. She started.
Yeah.
You think it should be further?
I think it should be next to the gentleman in the arm for sure.
You think
Yeah,
that?
right there.
What was yours? Blue shirt? Yours was tall kneeling with resistance?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. There's already some confusion.
Yep.
I love it. It's good. Who's up?
Knees weight bearing. Extension through the posterior chain.
I've never seen this. What is this? All right, cool. So where should he be? Okay. How many points of support did he finish with? Raise your hand, Steven. Steven? 3. He finished with 3 points of support. How many did he finish with? 2. Okay, so we have a good order there.
Engaging your inner thighs and then hinging as far back as you can with your toes tucked under, and then you can progress to a little bit of a hinge.
Okay, cool. Where does that belong? Go get there. Who's next?
We just did like a deep lunge with loading through like your ankle behind your knee behind your ankle and up on your toe, on your back foot, and just kind of decompressing through the core. Awesome. Just working on the hip hinge as well.
Okay.
A little bit. So.
Cool. Where does that belong? Go down there. Yep.
And now briefly remind everyone, jump into your exercise real quick.
Just show us
where you're at so far. Just jump and be there. Then we're going to isometrically hold it until everyone else is done.
Cool. Okay, progress. Remember where we're at? Okay, next group. I know it looks good. Oh, yeah. Better view. What is it?
Oh, you're way down there.
Prone belly breathing. All right. Yeah, the nursery's down there. You were prone and you were actually supine, right? Remember that? Okay, good.
Straight leg lower.
Okay. Cool. Where are you?
Down that way.
All right.
There. Yep.
So it's like an eccentric loading of the glute. Just see if they can get into it without loading.
Remember, whoever lets go of the band first wins. Okay. Cool. Where's that?
Next to you. Yeah.
You're right before standing.
You sure? Let's see it. Get in your position. Everybody get in position. All right. Does that look ordered? Does that look ordered?
Yeah.
There's already confusion.
Yes.
All right. So we got our nursery down here. We got our devout Catholics down there, I guess. Everybody's kneeling. Go ahead.
We're going to concentrate on breathing pattern.
Okay.
We're going to do a glute bridge exercise.
Okay. Cool. So we had a, what did you do?
Straight leg lower.
Straight leg lower. Pelvis never came off the ground. Your pelvis came off the ground. Raise your hand if your baby voluntarily raises his pelvis off the ground. Okay? So should that be down there more or should that be down here more?
You should be right there.
Kind of a bear squat. Coming down. Hinging the butt up. Driving forward.
All right, so we got 4 points of contact start to finish. Right?
Yep. We did the walkout.
You roll to.
Good.
Okay. Yep, next.
Alright. Gonna do a seated deadlift, legs out, and then drive the hips back, and the hamstrings, and pull back forward. Nice.
I've never seen that before in my life. That is awesome.
It's not bad. It's always
It's all right. It's awesome. That's why we do this, right there. I would never say that I've ever used a stool for Teaching posterior, I love it. Because I do it with a slide pad and standing. Nice job, dude. You deserve 5. That's why we do it. Good. Glad you didn't change your answer. Who's up? We'll be down here. Who's this group? You guys are what group? That's all. All right. Be ready. Whoever's next, be ready.
Just general bird dog position with belly breathing.
Okay.
Abdominal bracing.
Okay. Cool. More aggressive or less aggressive than our friend who was doing the bear squat? All right. Cool. All right. Next.
Okay. This has been covered already. I'll show you again.
Cool. All right. Yep. Double dates down there. We need CLS or ACLS. Who's next? Your group? Good.
So we're doing a resisted hinge.
Okay. Yep. Make sure your CLX is long enough. Where are you? Resisted hip hinge should be where? Seated.
Before seated.
It should be before seated?
No,
Or more aggressive?
One more,
Okay,
buddy.
cool.
One more.
All right, who's up?
So,
Come on up.
I'm right here.
Okay.
We're going position 1 respiration.
Position 1 respiration.
Yep.
All right, so I'm starting quadruped, starting flexed, staying flexed. All right.
Yep.
All right. So
Where are you
where
gonna be? Everybody hit your pose down here again.
All right. Where are you going? Where are you going?
Keith.
Spine's fully supported on the ground up to this point. You there? All right, you said quadruped breathing, essentially. He said quadruped breathing, essentially. How do we know? Isn't that the same thing?
He was at a 6 point.
Yeah.
Okay. So which one's...
He's sitting back.
I want you just to see the organization here. What's the reason? Go into your position. 6 point, sitting back. Less aggressive or more aggressive? Less aggressive. Okay. Cool. Who's next? That's how babies... What is it?
That's how babies start. They pump, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Mother Nature is undefeated.
So then using this band and the holes, get a broomstick or a PVC pipe.
Okay.
And then you can work the extension from a raised position.
So standing?
Yeah, so standing, but not from the floor.
So band resisted hip hinge?
Yeah. Like so, but with the bar.
But with a
not,
reduced range of motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody else had a reduced range of motion?
Yep.
Stools? Stools? Yep. Okay. Yep. All right, let's do it. Okay. Well, stools is, sorry. For clarification, gentlemen just went. What was your name?
Austin.
Austin? Stools, what was your name? Dakota. Were you saying it's loaded or just unloaded, just practicing range of motion?
Well, I mean, if he's
It's fine,
loaded,
whatever.
yeah.
It would be loaded, so they're taken off the stools?
Yes.
Okay, so we have resisted and resisted. Okay, how much weight were you perceiving in your mind?
At least 420. Yeah.
25%? So probably on the other side of him. Go ahead.
Alright, hip hinging, both hands on the low back, one on low back, one on sacrum. Have your pinky and thumb touching, but don't let them come apart or overlap whenever you do your hip hinge.
Okay. Nice. So a little cue in there?
Yep.
All right. In honor of Kansas City.
I don't know.
Kansas City cueing right there? All right. Where would she be?
So let's see.
More assistance with.
All right. Cool. Who's next?
So we're starting off with a basic pelvic tilt, laying on the ground.
Pelvic tilt. Good. All right. So spine is fully supported. Pelvis is moving. Where would you be? What was yours?
She has blood pressure cuff.
Same? Okay. Cool. My first blood pressure cuff. Baby.
Okay. Next.
Okay. We're doing the bird dog, but we're holding at the top. Like 3 seconds.
All right. Cool. Whoever had bird dog, go to bird dog right now.
Yep.
Oh. movement pattern.
Just a movement pattern? All right, and yours is isometric?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Which one comes first? What's the answer?
Isometric.
Isometric? Who votes isometric? Who votes movement? Okay, the group says movement. We're going to put you in movement comes first, then isometric. So there you go. That's how it's going to be organized for now. All right, cool. Who's next?
All right, we're just going to do a standing hip hinge.
Standing hip hinge.
A lot of other people did. With a bar, though, so you're maintaining 3 points of contact, your head, mid-back, tailbone,
Any
basically.
load?
Huh?
Any load?
No load.
Okay, cool.
Just going from here and just maintaining those 3 points of contact
Good.
through that
All
range
right.
of motion.
All right. So 3 points of motion. How many points of motion queuing? Kansas City, what'd you have?
2.
You had 2, 1 or 2. All right. You had how many points? 3. More points of contact. Easier or harder? Is that more queuing or less queuing? So where should he be?
Shake it off.
There you go.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Who's next? Has anybody seen a new exercise today? Keep your hand up. Have you seen more than 5 new exercises or ways to coach you never would have? Perfect. Love it.
So we're going to do focus cat cow.
Ooh. All right. Good.
So we'll be, where were you?
I'm doing the
Okay.
air squat.
All right. Let me ask a question real quick. Can you demo and you demo? Kurt, do the same thing. Okay. Where is Kurt's focus, putting the pressure? What region of the body? Okay, spine. Where's the motion occurring here? Okay, which one comes first? What do you think? Where would you be?
I think I'd be on this side because the focus is to drive the hips back.
Okay.
Whereas here, it seems like the idea is to make sure the patient is not hinging through the spine as opposed to...
So your organizational structure is based on where you're focusing for the patient? It's interesting. I like that. That'll help a lot. Okay. So where do you think it should be? I'll let you vote. You think you're in the right order right now?
Yeah, I think we're in the right order.
Right on. All right.
Okay, next.
All right.
Mine was like the other guy, probably a PVC pipe or a broomstick that they have sitting at
Cool.
home.
Demo.
Do it like this. Hip hinge.
Okay.
Make sure, we're trying to focus on the hyperflexion that he was doing.
Okay. Great. Perfect. So go line yourself up. Who's next?
Oh, we still have one more.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So single leg RDL. So we're going to come here.
You always do it together?
Yeah. It was more for most of them.
Okay, so single leg stance, RDLs. Okay. Raise your hand if you're doing a hip hinge, standing hip hinge pattern. Okay, so you have to be
All of
over
you
that
hit,
group.
Yep, get into your movement. Go.
If you're not standing doesn't matter, only standing. Where should you go?
That's the hardest one yet.
Why?
Single leg.
All right, next.
What's that?
Dynamic. And then we would do multiple reps.
Okay, multiple reps of dead bug, alternating. Great. So,
Yeah.
Brandon, what was yours?
I was a straight leg lower. I didn't have my arms
Straight leg lower? Okay. And yours was supported leg? Okay. What was yours? Glute bridge. Good. Which one should be? All right. I'd go the other way, but we'll leave you guys there for now. Yeah.
We'll talk
Go
about
ahead.
why that's an option in a minute. Next.
Stay basic. What's this, the clamshells?
That's just the pose.
Clamshells? Love it. All right. Clamshells. Where's he at? So he's sideline. Only guy to do sideline so far. Good job. Where would he be? Do baby sideline. Is the spine fully supported in sideline?
Yes.
Yes. So he can't be quadruped, right? Because spine's unsupported. We're going to your demo position. So we know you're this side. Are you quadruped? All right. All right. Hold on. Clamshells have how many ports of contact? My spine is supported. Is my foot supported?
Yes.
So is that harder or easier than say supported single straight leg raise? It's easier, right? I have a much shorter lever of control and an extra point of contact. Who's next?
So just a hip hinge with emphasis on eccentric loading.
Okay, good.
So you might even have like the clinician help them with the load and then just cue them.
Okay, so it looks exactly like 3 other people, but the difference is what you're saying. Tell everybody loudly what you want to do.
Emphasis on eccentric loading, so having the clinician help them with the load and then cueing the patient to take their time, maybe for like a 3 count or a 5 count on the way down.
So in yours, I could go down, let go of the band, come back up on my own.
Yeah.
Clinician gives them back the band. Yeah. Perfect. All right, put that in order. Hey guys, would it break your heart in the back? I know we asked you to do some exercise. If we cut it, maybe with like 2 or 3 more, just for sake of time, we probably will go through another progression like this. All right, who's up?
I'm up.
All right.
So I'll have them start here, making sure they're loading through their feet and their toes aren't under them. Their ribs
Okay.
are pinned, and some cue I'll have them touch ribs and ASIs.
Drive straight through the hips.
Okay.
And then eccentrically slower on the way down.
So kneeling hip hinge.
Straight back down. Long, tall spine. Ribs pinned.
With a lot of cueing.
Belly breathing.
A lot of cueing.
So
Everybody who's doing a tall kneel or a kneeling hip hinge, go into it right now. All right. No cueing.
I was moving a little bit.
Oh yeah.
We're using resistance, so he's
So-
probably right into my ass.
So we could call him Q39. All right. So wait,
Way more cueing.
you had way more cueing. She had no cueing. Where should he
Right.
be?
More queuing?
More cueing doesn't make it an exercise easier
Easier or harder?
or harder.
Harder make it easier, but.
Should make it
Does
easier.
it allow them
right?
more moving parts?
Unless you're making that cue a really resisted fighting. Yeah, so it should be easier. Yeah.
We did a bear into a squat, so we crawl up,
Okay.
come here, and then back to starting position.
Okay. Can you give us a little space?
Yes,
Can you just come forward and do yours?
So we're here,
Okay.
driving back. This is an advancement to that because you end up here.
Okay.
So I would say because
Do
you
your
start
original
forward.
exercise. Don't
Okay.
modify right now. That's what you were doing?
So essentially goes
You had an end.
into
Oh wait, and who did a quadruped? Come over here and demo. Now he has to go 13 people down to get to this. Okay. Okay. Can you go down? Can you come forward? The 3 of you all perform at the same time. Go ahead. Are we in the right order? Okay. So she ends in weight bearing spine. So where should she end up?
rhythmic.
Okay.
Pass all the kneeling, pass.
Of these 3.
No,
Of
of
these
these-
three.
oh, yeah, of just of us
That's-
three.
These 3. Sorry. Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
Do it again.
This is like putting Turkish get up in one spot. So do you pick the highest or do you start on the ground? Yeah. Same concept.
Are those 2 in the right order?
Yes.
If our goal is to get to the deadlift, I would say that's closer to the deadlift than ending up in a low squat.
Say the first part of what you said again.
If the goal is to end up in
Stop.
the deadlift,
If the goal is to get to deadlift, which is what he said, which is our original goal, he's keeping his goal in mind. Another high five. I would refer people to you just based on what I've seen so far. No problem. That's awesome.
And there's more expensive shit on the higher shelf, right?
Thank you. There's always more expensive shit. So, what should the order be here? He's more advanced. He's closer to our end goal. Okay, cool. So put yourself back where you were. And then, sorry, man, you just came up. What's your name?
Kyler?
Kyler. You've got to be close to him, but how close?
yeah, 1 or 2.
Yep. So you see how we have this second row of the ones that are transitioning a ton of positions.
Yeah.
We're going to keep those in mind because you see how it's not this perfect thing. But the next piece of this exercise, it'll make way more sense. This will thin this out real quick. Good. Okay, next.
Can we make this our last one? All right.
Last one? Or do we have one that somebody's just dying to show next?
So here, very similar
Okay.
to what they were, but again, focusing on the eccentric. So
Okay.
you're in here with the hip hinge.
Pause. Anybody have something that has not been demoed before? You do have one? All right. We're gonna I'm going to let you, what was your name with the class?
Kelly.
Kelly, just hang out. We have versions of that. We good. Come on up.
Just like simple Superman extensions.
Okay. All right. Do it again. Go to end position. Is the spine supported fully?
Yes.
No. Do it again.
Against gravity.
Is the spine supported fully?
No.
Okay. So, and he reduces points of contact essentially, right? Everybody that was in a lying position, go into lying right now. Show it. You're the starter quadruped, right? Okay. All right. Fully supported, fully supported, fully supported, fully supported, fully supported, fully supported.
Right there.
Suspended. So he could be a transition between those two.
Okay.
All right.
Now, everyone, let's spread this out just a touch more. Everyone hit your exercise and everyone else back all the way up. So everybody jump into it so we can capture this entire line. All right, baby, hit reps.
Do it.
Let's go.
Go.
Now, while they're hitting reps, because I'm gonna keep this under 20 minutes. Okay, hit reps. That's all I've done. But the key is here, though. We want to see this. Look at all of the different things that this room, with every diverse background, created as this patient came in. Here are things to do. Let's take all of this together. Can you imagine how we start here with a patient and a treatment plan, how we could be progressing them closer and closer and closer to picking up weight off the ground? Putting 3 wheels on the bar and going. Does that make sense? Okay, now, here's the caveat. You have 8 visits.
Not 9. Not 20.
Do we have time with that patient to hit every one of these drills in clinical practice?
No.
Does that start to thin the herd real quick about what we'll pick? How does it change it? Why don't we just say, okay, day 1, you get these 8. If at visit 8, they're deadlifting, we know that's going to happen, period. If visit 8, they've got to pick that shit up off the ground. We have to get them there. Do you see how a systematic approach to rehab instantly starts falling into place? Start with the goal in mind, patient-centered care. What do they want? How do we get them there? What's going to change their life? What's going to let them pick up their baby or their grandkid or whatever? How do we get them there? Now it's about execution of picking what's going to be the most valuable at the right time to get them there. Now, the next thing that's super important to pick. So if you're planning that patient's care out, we're going to probably go through here and pick a few key elements that are, this is a non-negotiable. Does that make sense? Like non-negotiable. I have to have this in there because otherwise I don't know how I'm going to get there. Okay? So for example, like the tall kneeling hip hinge. I think that's probably going to have to be in there. That's almost a non-negotiable. Why? Because it's an easier version of the damn thing they're going to be doing in 8 visits, right? I think that's crucially important. Now, if we take that, we know we're going there, but there's something hanging us up. So if we know that's a non-negotiable, that's like, ooh, visit 4 at the latest. I have to have them doing this, or I'm not going to be on my timeline. So if that's where we're going to be, but say that day, it's a struggle. You can't really get them there. What in your mind is the next thing to do? Do we go harder on this chain, or do we go back? Welcome to rehab.
So
Systematic approach.
So everybody that's in tall kneeling, can you go into tall kneeling? Position before that, you guys are all quadruped, right?
I'm on 3.
So if I rehab through this point, and I'm excited because visit 3, I get to this. They come in for visit 4. Should I start here?
Review.
Say it again.
Review.
Review this.
How'd you do it? You started working well with it?
Okay.
Is it
So I review. Looks like shit.
Looks like shit. All right.
What do we do? Go back.
Let's go back.
Do I go? All right, look at the goal. Race. Belly. What? A lot of people do that. It's like, hey, I go from that to that.
What part
Right?
looks like crap though? Like what part of the hip hinge looks like crap?
So what's the area of focus? Yeah, that stretch. Your hair?
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah. What's the focus? What was your say your words again that I picked out?
Our goal.
Yeah.
Get the goal.
Not our goal, the client's goal, right? Or patient's goal. Those things matter. So if it looks like crap, that's a great point. Which part looks like crap? Let's say the spine looks like crap. She's going, but she's falling apart. Who here had a great reminder of spinal position? Can you guys go into your, you had a cue, you were heavy cueing, okay? Which one would help them have awareness of their spinal position? That's got a lot of awareness, right?
Yeah.
We want to get all sorts of feedback and go, feel that? Yeah, don't do that. All right? So I could go from there and then transition to half kneeling. Who had a lot of spinal reminders? Right here, right? Good. I remind, but now I think these are out of order now. I think that should be halfway between that and that. Can you move for me? So demonstrate.
So here.
Cueing, yep.
Hips only.
Good. Good. All right, chill out. Demo. Okay. Does that look good? Great. Okay. Now where do I go? That way. When she comes back in, what do I do? A lot of people go, well, last time I did rolling, so this time I should do quadruped. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that easily.
Exactly.
All right.
Crucial. What questions do you have?
So if they come in for the next visit, you take them through the second or first progression before you make sure they clear that before moving on.
Ask it again.
Okay, so when they come in, so for the last visit, they were doing the hip hinge. Okay, do you have them come back in and then do the kneeling hip hinge again? Okay, they cleared. We're good. Now we move on to the next progression.
Absolutely. So if they're still highly struggling, that's literally the last 5 minutes of what Josh went through. Patient was still struggling. Came back in. Oh, it looked bad. Collapsing at the spine now. Maybe that wasn't the issue the other day. It looked a whole heck of a lot better because we were way more on our soft tissue that day. We helped open up new movement options, and they were grooving that day. Went home. Things went weird. Now all of a sudden can't do that. Right? So that's the perfect example. That's when you replay that last 5 minutes. Go in here. Now let's cue that. Okay, great. Now let's move up. Let's hit that next progression. Goals in mind, though. 8 visits, we've got to be there.
Speak up just a little bit.
So would you still review? Would you still review if they did awesome? Yeah, it takes about 4 seconds. Hey, can you still do this? Oh, yeah, it's perfect. Great.
The other thing that it'll tell you is, did this person actually take my advice, focus on their behaviors and whatnot, their habits? Because we go, hey, show me that exercise that you did real quick. Yeah. And they're like, was my right foot or is my left foot forward? Hold on. All right. It's pretty obvious, right? So it's giving me cues about that as well, because you probably had a low number of repetitions or habits to get me to where you are today if you can't even remember the exercise. Or if they go, no problem. And I was doing this, and I was doing this, and I was watching TV, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, this dude's motivated. Like, I think I can take him further because he's a compliant patient.
Yep. Or the exact opposite. You take them in, the expectation that they're ready to succeed and move forward, and they're struggling like crazy. All right, Miss Jones, go back to the kneeling from last time. And they're like, what'd that look like? Yeah? So you can pick up the vibe with most patients, but in our clinic, we definitely expect the progression. Because if we did the right soft tissue, if we did the right plan, we told them the right amount to be doing at home, we're ready to progress. Like, let's go. And then if they fail, like, so we expect to succeed, maybe fail, right? And if it doesn't, like, okay, so then maybe they need this additional. Or that's when we can take in all the fun bands and we can add every little way we need to cue it, whatever we need to do. Now we can add in the other modifications. Like, we can literally take any one of these and we could spend 45 minutes on amazing ways to cue that. But I do want to ask this before we take our first break. Does anybody have any questions about one of these they saw that they've had a lot of failure with using, or a way to modify it to fill a gap?
An analogy might be if you use something like, how many of you have done thousands of bird dogs with very little effect? Only me?
1 point.
Raise your hand high. Even if it was early on in your career and you just go, hey, need something else? How many of you have been assigned bird dogs with very little effect? Okay, we're getting a third of the room. That's a very common exercise that's just handed out just because that's what I learned from the last guy who taught me, and he learned from his mentor, and she learned it from her mentor, and that's just what you do for people like that.
But if you do it for
2 months straight.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000, 2,000 reps over a 3-4 week period.
Yeah, his point was perfect. So the bird dog, can you see how that can be a highly valuable exercise to give us what we need? Maybe they need that input of loading through the femur because they can't do it on both, but they need to have that bounce, that extra piece of coordination before we take them to that tall kneeling position. Maybe that's what they need. But can you imagine if we have 8 visits and we have to pick up heavy weight on the ground, how we can't be doing that for 7? So it has a very valuable input mechanism, and there's a lot of reasons to do that from a motor control perspective, but it's one piece of what we created.
It has a lot of business perspective, because if you get a CrossFitter, it's like, I want to compete 4 weeks from now, and visit 7, you're down here. What do they think of your expertise? I'm like, it's all like, I thought you were really good.
Yes.
Like, I want to be doing that stuff pain-free.
So Josh,
Like, seven visits in, like, just roll over some more. Yeah, go ahead.
when you're picking out an exercise for that patient, you're not picking out something they can do easily. You want to find something that they can do competently, but it's the most
Fantastic point.
challenging, right?
Edge of ability.
Yeah. Brendan's point, I believe, was that when they come in, you want to challenge them. This guy moves well, right? I don't think he's going to even need to start down there. But I got to get some bandwidth of where is he comfortable, where is he painful, and as you get more expertise, you'll be able to push people there. But if they show 1 rep and it's perfect, you could cut a couple ahead, do it another, check off. But one of the points we're trying to make is don't start stripes. Raise your hand. Don't go from stripes to scooters, stools. Don't do that in 1 visit, but don't do it in 40 visits. There has to be a logical progression as we go through.
And to think of it from the business management perspective or the clinical management perspective, day 1 or day 2, depending on how your systems are set up, that day 1, you're trying to do your best guess and see how it goes. Don't think that you need to right away know everything. That is not necessary. Maybe you don't have such a thorough assessment right now systematically to where you're going to know in 3 minutes, I need to start them here. Even though that's my passion and what gets me hungry is how to put those systems together so that we just know and we're like, gosh, we get it 75% of the time, that first exercise. Maybe you don't have that, but you have the clinical expertise, even if it's just with friends, to start getting an idea of, you know what, I'm going to have them start on this day 1. Here's the 2 maybe movements we can do. Then how long did it take to coach a few of these? Like seconds. So you're going to say, I'm going to start you here. That's going to give me great information on how we need to progress this plan to get you to pulling heavy weight off the ground at visit 8. So day 1, you send them home with 1, 2, 3, whatever your systems allow for you to send them home, but you pick the dadgum best ones you think they can do it. So then they go home, they come back, and you say, Miss Jones, let's see it. And like, okay, I can't do that. Miss Jones, I'm really glad you did that. You gave it the best college try you could. This gives me so much information to know for planning from this day forward how we're going to get there. Because all of a sudden, I need these 4 drills so bad. But if she came back and it was like, that was the easiest thing I've done in 10 years, you're like, dang. Like, I'm so glad I sent you home with that, because guess what? My ass needs to be way down here. And it's like, I need to start here because I am wasting time. Make sense? Cool.